Hello all. What I have here, freshly pulled from the box, is a Scheppach OSM 600 oscillating belt and bobbin sander. I've been contemplating getting one of these for some time, given everything I make has curves on it. So when Scheppach UK reached out offering to send me something to look at, this seemed an obvious choice. I have the belt sanding attachment fitted here. The belts are easy to come by, being 100 by 610mm, the same size as most 100mm belt sanders from the likes of Makita or Bosch and all that. An 80 grit sheet is supplied to get you started. Also with 80 grit sleeves supplied are a range of bobbins, including a 51, 38, 26 and 19mm bobbins. The fifth and smallest sanding sleeve you see there is 13mm and slides right onto the spindle itself. I felt a bit silly when I realised that after spending about 10 minutes going through the box and searching the floor for a missing rubber bobbin to mount it to. One thing that struck me as quite thoughtful at first was that all around the plastic machine body there are stash places for everything that comes with it. Everything. Every nut, washer, insert, all of it. Round the back, where the cover plate for bobbin mode is stored, it'll also accept the belt sander. So I said it struck me as thoughtful at first. What I mean by that is, after using it a bit, I gave it a little vacuum over and promptly sucked up one of the washers, never to be found again. Not really an issue as I have hundreds of washers of my own, but I think you'll be best finding a proper place for the machine and a little drawer or pouch for all its accessories. At the front is where you'll find the NVR type stop-start button. It works just fine, but its action and cover feels very much built down to price. Under the front table on each side are the release knobs to allow you to angle the table up to 45 degrees. There are indents for common angles on the right side, which are engaged by a springy bit of pressed steel. It's hella fiddly and feels like it'd do you an injustice at some point, so I'll be removing that as you'll see later. Putting on and taking off the sanding attachments is very easy. With the belt sander here, just loosen the fixing knob and lift off. There's a tab that locates the smaller roller end, making putting it on and positioning it straightforward. On the top left of the belt sander is a small knob for adjusting the belt alignment, where it settles on the rollers. Just behind that is a lever to release and tension the belt. Again, very straightforward process. Oof, I haven't put that belt on back very straight, have I? Anyway, pre-fitted to the table is a stop for the belt sander. And it is just a stop. You couldn't use it for a 90 or anything as it has a little movement. I'll leave it off I think, but if you could use it, it's there. It's just a single thumb screw to add or remove it, and it has a little tab locator to shore it up. And like I said earlier, there's somewhere to stash everything you remove. As you'd expect these days, there's a dust extraction port, and it's on the left of the machine. The port accepts your standard power tool rubber hose endomer jigs. Let's swap to a bobbin so you can see the process. Undo the belt sander to remove it, grab the cover plate from the back, then put the belt sander in its place. Pop the cover plate in, check for a good bobbin size, then slide onto the spindle. Choose an appropriate insert to fill the space between the cover plate and the bobbin, then fasten down. Rather than the star knob I was using for the belt sander earlier, which would work, I'm using a washer and the supplied nut to fix it this time, just to show it. This you can tighten down with the supplied pressed steel wrench. In the manual, it states sound pressure as 76 dB and sound power as 89 dB, both with 3 dB uncertainty. With my phone app, that seemed about right, as from 1 metre away, it was registering sound power as 86 dB and about 88 to 89 right up close. It's a funny one because it does sound loud, but being more a low rumble and a whir, doesn't sound as loud as the technically quieter random orbitals I have. I guess it's because they're busier in the higher frequencies. Quick demo of adjusting the belt position here. Obviously it needs to be running. Turn it little by little until the belt settles where you want it. When you think you have it where you want it, just keep it running a few seconds to make sure it is actually settled. It's pretty straightforward. For my first test or demo, I have a couple of half round blanks here. These I would glue together side by side to carve these offset rear chair feet for my lounge and club chairs. I wouldn't actually use this sander to help make them, but these half rounds being spares, they provide a convenient internal and external radius to sand. I don't know if you can make it out, but these blanks have machine marks around the outside, a sort of half and half from the router machining one side, then being flipped and then being routed the other side. The standard 80 grit supplied is certainly removing material. It's a grit I rarely use to be honest, but it's making easy work of this cleanup op. You can push fairly hard against the belt I noticed, despite the modest 450 watt motor. Careful how you place the work if you are pushing though. Belt sanders will snatch work away from you if you're not careful. Nice and clean round the outside. This first one I did without dust extraction plugged in so we could get an idea of the difference it makes. You can see the hose now inserted there. First though, I'll clean the belt a bit with my big rubber abrasive cleaner, a worthy investment if you have any sanding machines. Again with this duplicate piece, I just removed the outside machine marks, and you can probably already see, as you'd hope with extraction, much less dust accumulation around the belt. Calling it finished, there was just this little bit around the right side of the belt. Here's the bobbin I fitted earlier, which will hopefully remove the burn marks on the internal radius. Straight away you'll notice the sleeve spin on the bobbin and lift, so clearly you can't steam in quite like you can with the belt. Back off a bit and it works okay though. At some point I suppose a compromise is struck between getting the sleeve on easily yet still providing enough adhesion to actually sand. Comfortable with the pressure I can apply, another issue comes to light. The sleeve will periodically lift, all on its own. Easy enough to knock back down, but I can say that after filming for this video, I've taken to just using this large washer for every bobbin size. That it overhangs the top of all but the largest bobbin means it not only stops the lift, but also helps a little bit keeping the sleeve spinning with the bobbin. But still, even before this fix and the sleeve slithering about, it still did a nice job of cleaning up the internal radius. I don't intend to use this machine for my wooden furniture parts however, but for my aluminium upholstery fixing plates. Hence the bunch of 240 grit belts here. Not having a CNC, I cut these on the bandsaw, which even with a very fine blade, leaves the sort of marks you can just about make out here, inside and out. The straight bits are easy enough to clean up, but the curves meant hand filing until smooth. The 240 belt cleans up any saw marks on the outside curves really quickly. This alone has already made me grateful for this machine and thinking I really should have got one ages ago. As I don't have any 240 grit bobbin sleeves for the internals, I'm just using the narrow roller on the belt sander to clean them up. Again, it did a great job nice and quickly. Hopefully you can make out the straight sections still have clear saw marks while the curves are nice and smooth. Great stuff. In sum then, this has largely lived up to what I thought would be the case. If you make anything with curves, this will prove itself an essential tool in a small workshop, though I do have a couple of gripes. The first is minor and down to my own preference, and that's the lack of speed control. This machine does 2000 RPM. For most occasions, this is fine. I would however like to knock a bit of speed off for better control of sanding materials other than wood. My second issue is perhaps more important a failing, well for me at least, and that is the plate behind the belt. You can see here it's pressed steel and is home to a few fixing screws. The steel plate has been pressed to create countersinks, but they're not adequate. The screw heads partially protrude still. You can feel them when you're sanding, and I can't see that it will do anything good for belt longevity, never mind any level of accuracy. As I checked with my ruler, I could also see the plate was concaved. Before looking into that more, I thought I'd knock back the screw heads to at least level or smooth with the plate. Happy they're now clear, let's look at the plate. You can see by using a ruler and a light there that it's quite badly concaved. The simplest solution I could think of to attempt to fix this was a thin epoxy pour over the plate. Using acrylic, I sealed off the screw heads first, then cleaned the plate with thinners. Using the same acrylic, I created a perimeter to allow the epoxy to pool, then scratched up the metal surface to try and give the epoxy something to adhere to. I then used my Bosch widget and a bunch of packers to level the plate. And finally poured the epoxy and left it for a couple days. And it didn't work. Well, it did in that it gave me a beautifully level surface, but as soon as I started cutting away the acrylic, the epoxy lifted from the metal. It didn't adhere. Bugger. Might have been the super cold weather, perhaps some residue the thinners didn't remove. I don't know. I can't say I've had an issue with the EL20 not bonding to metal before, so I'll scratch my head, give it another clean and have another go at it and update you at some point in a future video. In case it's not obvious and you're thinking, Stu, why such concern with the plate flatness, mate? Well, because I'd like the belt to sand things flat and not concave. I mean, I was thinking I could do a couple of tapped holes in the table and fit one of these little protractors, giving another option for dialing in angle joint faces. But that's not happening with things as they are. Even using the table angle won't be much caught if the belt backing plate isn't flat for reference. Now don't get me wrong, this is a budget machine, and as always with budget machines you have to manage your expectations and judge them accordingly. It does a capable job of sanding an internal and an external radius, but I think a flat plate behind the belt would dramatically lift the potential of the machine and wouldn't be an expensive fix from the factory. Despite its cost-saving flaws, I still think it could be seen as a workshop essential if, as I said, you make anything a bit curvy. These machines, which seem to be made for numerous brands, are really the only option in this price bracket. Pretty much everything else is a dedicated oscillating belt or bobbin sander, semi-industrial or industrial, with a price tag to match. So remarkable that this thing exists really, and I'm glad it does. This Scheppach OSM 600 I've seen deals on from £199 to £260. On the Scheppach UK site, which I'll link below, it can currently be had for £224.99 with free next working day shipping in the UK. It comes with 1 year warranty as standard, which can be extended by a further 2 years by registering online. All pretty typical stuff. So that will do it, I think. If my next attempt works, I'll post an update of the flattened plate and attaching the mitre gauge thingy. Until then, comments and questions welcome below. Like if you did, sub if you aren't already, and as ever, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching.